What's up? We have a lot to talk about, my friends. How is everybody doing? Man, I just got up from a nap. I couldn't continue watching the crap that was happening, so I had to take a quick nap. Who's all in here? Well, I'm trying to connect my internet and wait on more people to show up. Wow, I guess everybody's watching the line. Where is everyone? How's AMC and everybody else doing? Currently, there's a run going on, but there's a lot to talk about as far as what was happening, what happened today. There's a lot to talk about, guys. KJW, what's up, brother? Yeah, I'm waiting on more people to come in so that we can start talking. There's that we need to talk about. Not necessarily very bad, but some crime happened today. It's all good. What's going on, brother? How are you doing? Waiting on more people to come in so we can start. That puff was for you and for KJW. I'm also having problem with um, my Wi-Fi is freaking giving me the worst problems ever. Spectrum is the worst. What's up, Ham? How are you doing, brother? Um, yeah, it's all good. And KJW, that's what we're gonna talk about. What's up, Eric? How are you doing? Um, yeah, that big drop in the morning. I got some things to talk to you guys about. Um, and it's pretty interesting too. Pretty interesting. I'm just waiting on more and more people to show up so that we can, you know, not have to repeat everything that we're gonna talk about. But in the same time, I'm also waiting on uh, my Wi-Fi to connect. I just had Spectrum leave from here, trying to fix it. For some reason, it cuts off whenever it wants on its own, but it's not working. Eric, yeah, let's talk about that shiznit, man. Um, Trust me, there's like so many angles to what I'm gonna share with you guys to what happened this morning. Um, And I guarantee you, this is probably why you see so many quiet YouTube going on, because not many people have an explanation to what's happening or what happened. Um, but I have something for you. Just give me a few moments to just fix the Wi-Fi to get, like, to get it going. For some reason it's on, it's just not connecting. Um, and then let's wait for just a few more people to show up, and then we'll get going. Because I'm also currently watching that bbig run as well, as I anticipated. So we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about tlry. We're going to talk about sndl for the aftermarket that they're reporting their earnings. But most importantly, we're going to be discussing the AMC and GameStop drop in the morning and what was the cause of that, which I'm pretty sure you don't have any answer to. You might have some ideas of why, but you don't have an answer to from someone else, or what they think is what happened this morning. Um, Angel, how are you doing? Hopefully you saw that the options question that you asked yesterday. I did post a link in yesterday's live comment section just so that you can see it. And by the way, if you have any questions, just feel free to throw them in the live chat. Doesn't matter what they are, little or big. Every question is a good question. So even if you watch that and you still don't feel as comfortable, just you could bring back your questions, whichever ones you want over here. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate you, brother. All right. Don't be afraid that I'm gonna pop out of the screen. I'm just gonna go to reset the router real quick. I'm not gonna come off live because I'm streaming this off of my phone and my regular service. So just 1 second, because I have my computer running the program in the background. Un momento. I can talk to you guys also. As I'm doing this. This is the worst. They said something about this being connected to some, when I talked to them on the phone yesterday, to some really souped up computer, like some eagle eye stuff. And I don't know how many people watched that movie, but it is, I assured them there's no gaming server in here or anything. All it is just me doing my trades. Um, what's up, Peter? How are you? Oh, Peter, yes, you're right, but here's the thing. That pullback was not no natural pullback, and we're gonna talk about that. You're not like you're gonna be somewhat satisfied with what really could have been the cause of what happened, and in the same time you're not gonna be very 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 happy in the same time, because you're gonna be like, well, we don't get that privilege, we don't get to do that, we don't have access to that. Yes, Ham, they are thieves. See, I told you guys yesterday that this was not like, this stock was not set up for no pullbacks or nothing. This stock was set up for a crazy run, and you've seen that beginning of it in the morning. Like, you're talking about in a matter of a couple minutes, we went up of about $3-4, which would have made 42.89 that I was telling you about yesterday extremely possible just today. But you're gonna know what happened this morning. All right, it looks like I might have been already connected to the Wi-Fi now. Let's log in here. Okay, which stock chart is this? Okay. All right, so welcome back to AB Investments, guys. I'm glad this many is more than enough to share this. This is the family in here. Ham said I'm buying calls soon. I think we're gonna get a good run soon. Ham, this was supposed to be running ASAP, and I do personally. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, guys. Neither that I give out financial advice. Um, many of you know I held a big position, AMC, GME, tlry, koss, and um, bbby. Um, and of course sundial. Now, I do have calls ham as well in majority of those plays as well. Now, here's the thing. This morning, um, see, I have a group of people that are with like almost I have a connected group of almost people with so many different brokers. So like I still even have people who are using Robinhood. Okay, and look at this crazy thing that happened. So in the morning, before that, the halt occurred, and before any of these things happened, I was up for all the pre-market actually, and I was even posting on the community tab, like the level two data and what it's looking like. I mean, when I say that the buying orders, and still until even now, are way catapulting the sell orders, it's an understatement. Like buy orders were so overwhelmingly higher than the selling orders, to the point where it was like the pre-market by itself could have had a run to God knows what levels and what numbers. Nevertheless, when it first opened today, the floodgates came all in, which is the orders that are not even going through since God knows how long. And specifically, but from the pre-market yesterday and today. Um, and here's the thing. Apparently, Robinhood sent out a letter, and I will post it on the community picture, like on the community post page. I will post that picture just so everybody can see it after the stream. Um, but apparently, Robinhood sent out a note to all its account holders. Now, I don't have one, but one of my associates that I know still holds a small account in there and holds a small amount of shares in it. And the reason for doing so, guys, is so that you could always keep your eyes on just every little thing that's happening on every broker. Um, and it wasn't a bad idea. Personally, for me, I'm even thinking about reopening my own Robinhood, old Robinhood account, and just put one share in it. Just so I can see what happens, especially after what happened today, because they sent a note on top of the ticker symbols of GME and AMC saying that some, look, exact wording, and I will post the photo so you guys can see it later. They sent it to me. My associate who holds Robinhood, they literally said on top of that ticker symbol that some broker apps and some brokers have halted AMC, the trading on AMC and GME due to volatility, but Robinhood did not. What's up, Tony? How are you doing? Welcome to the chat, brother. Um, so Robinhood apparently did not have that, but it more so had the role of snitching on the others. And no one has paid attention to that. Again, because I'm assuming that most people have transferred their AMC and GME holdings to different brokers, so no one is really watching the Robinhood, and whoever is still on it is probably away from all the meme craze and Reddit and the posts and everything. So therefore, we're cut off from that world, which was pretty interesting. No one's seen that curveball coming out of nowhere. Again, I will post that picture on the community post. Um, oh, see, Peter still has Robinhood. Thank you for fact checking that, but I will still post it for the rest of you guys to see later. So, like, the trading did not halt in Robinhood, but instead it ratted everybody out, saying that everyone else or some other brokers out there have halted the trading. And instantly, as soon as that message popped up on Robinhood, that's when the gigantic drop happened. And after that, you've seen a stagnant movement, like some new algorithm that just been installed, or like somebody had a fire distinguisher and just like, distinguished everything. Now, here's the thing. As we know that obviously, if I can tell you this from seeing the data numbers and even the story with Robinhood, I can tell you foul play was definitely done. Um, because I've seen all the pre-market numbers. I was looking at all the movement, all that stuff. Now, um, the thing is, what happened, I triple guarantee you, and again, there's no way to put your finger on it because we're not behind the scenes, but I triple guarantee you that they, in that quick time, they were able to, in that halt, contact and make some sort of deal with someone who somehow has a lot of shares, some sort of institute that has a lot, when I say a lot, like big position in both AMC and GME, and saw the need that they could pay them off. They would rather pay these people off, no matter how much premium they paid them, to drop too many or all their entire position, their gigantic position on that particular time, to send it back to where the level of the algo can control it. Because what happened is that we left the algo zone, and the algo got sidetracked, so it could not control what was going to happen. And that, what one thing we know about that is what caused January 2021 run up with GME, is that it was too late to control by the time it took off, and no one could have controlled it after, until it got to the 480 and almost Robinhood got vaporized and all that stuff. So it's so ironic that Robinhood is the only broker that reports that message, saying that some brokers may have stopped, the trading of GME and AMC, while, they're the ones who are mostly known and famous for that. So that's the interesting story that we got this morning, or the development story that we had happening with AMC and GME. Clearly, as you guys saw, just that first few minutes, jumping $4 just in the first few minutes. I'm talking about less than 8 minutes. Showed you that we were not only primed to go to the 42.89. Yesterday, I was literally telling you guys in the chat that don't be surprised if we jump into the 50s. And we have not only the volume for that movement, not only do we have the momentum for that movement as well. It was there, and obviously for the powers that may be and out there, and for the manipulation that is happening, of course they halt it. They get some crazy amount of shares, because we do know that the borrowed shares that were available were nothing. It was only around like 100 or 200,000 shares. That was not even a drop in the bucket. Like, you can't even see it in the kind of volume and the action that we have today. I guarantee you they reached out to somebody or somebodies who have a gigantic position in both AMC and GME, and we know there's a lot of them out there that has that, and told them or convinced them or paid them off or whatever they did as far as a premium favor or whatever in the background, that we don't have access to or we can't know the details of, to drop all those shares at once and make it like a sell order, because they did not go and borrow shares to do that, to jump that. And a halt would not necessarily result in a drop in the price action. In fact, it can throttle it to go even higher if the action was not played with, because the buy-in, and you can go check these from whatever sources you want. I don't really have to prove this to you guys, but you could go and fact check it yourself. The volume of buy-in orders for AMC or GME, it is at least almost time and a half, if not double, the sell orders that are going on this ticker symbol. So even if a halt occurred because of volatility movement, it only means that when it opens back up, even if they wanted to drop the sell orders first, and bump them up in the line, to create some sort of scare, that, oh, the price is dropping, but that only will last for about 1 or 2 minutes at tops. And then the original, float and the original volume that is coming in as far as buy orders will take over again, and then the price will rip again, and then that will cause another circuit breaker, to come on, because again, another, at least it will result in another 20 to 30% run after that first halt. But that's not what happened. What happened is that after that first halt, that clearly, apparently, Robinhood did not even participate in, and they kept the trading open, um, which possibly helped a lot of sales. Remember when in 2021 they took the buy button from some brokerages, and Robinhood was obviously the most famous one for all of them? When that happened, that allowed all the brokers on the market, or whatever orders that were going on the market, to be sell orders, not buy orders, which means if anybody needed shares and they didn't have them, well, all they have to do is go ahead and buy the shares at whatever price it was advertised at, because no matter what that price is, it's definitely less than 5 figures. You see what I'm saying? So the manipulation is unreal as far as today, and excuse me. So that pissed the living hell out of me this morning, seeing that. I mean, even with that being done and said, you seen after that halt, everything was normal. It's kind of like somebody who was going crazy, and then suddenly they gave him like some medication just to, sit and be calm. Like they gave him some sedatives to relax, and that's what AMC and GME has been for the remainder of the day since then. Since that moment in the morning. Did that change much? Of course, it changed the momentum. And that's why I'm super heated at what happened. Clearly, they want small, slow, gradual growth so that they don't get vaporized, so that they can, you know, accommodate the price increase as they see fit, and that way money is transferring slowly and slowly. That way they're not, like vaporized one after another, which is a short squeeze effect. Um, of course, that's not cool. That's not normal. That's not right. Um, we don't get access. We don't get to do the same thing. We don't have access to that kind of stuff. If any of us is gonna get vaporized, we're gonna get vaporized. Versus these guys just have so many flips and tricks that they have access to. And again, almost in that same time, you got Mr. GG reporting and saying, oh, all this about global warming, and tweeting about stuff like that, and tweeting about tomorrow's final meeting of March, like, like we all got our calendars marked, waiting for him to show up. And that's the unfortunate reality, guys. That's just what happened this morning. Before I keep going, let me just read some of these comments and answer some of the questions before we keep continuing, running down the line. I smelled blood in the water. That's what Tony said. We ate so close. Uh, don't worry, Tony. You're gonna see so much blood soon. Um, Peter said, I seen it at around 9:45 hours this morning. It froze the orders. When it released, it dropped. Yep, indeed. Yes, Eric. Algo flippy did definitely occur after somebody or some shares out of nowhere came, and they're not reported on the register, so therefore they didn't go and borrow those shares. Somebody with a gigantic position in both AMC and GME was persuaded at this morning. Again, this is my theory, guys, on this, um, and basically dropped it so that they can get at least back within that zone that they can algo, uh, you know, correct it again. Because once the algo goes, it goes with whatever is programmed. But once you kick off of those parameters, that's when you see wild movements and very big volatilities that cannot be tamed until the process is done, or the procedure is done. Last time that happened was in January of 2021 and June of 2021. And they obviously didn't like it. The hedgies didn't like it. Clearly, the market makers or everyone on that side didn't like it. Um, how you doing, Katie? Welcome back to the chat. That puff was for you. Imagine if we have like 100,000 or 200,000 viewers, and I gotta take a puff for each one. We'll never finish making hookahs. Eric said we saw if in close. Mullen and HYMC ran identical as well. They are all LP. I agree with you, brother. All of them are highly shorted. It's so crazy how they're spinning the narrative of AMC's run that started last week has a lot to do with HYMC acquisition or being a partnership in it. And um, obviously, we all know that it has nothing to do with that. It's just so mind baffling how they can even put out PR, that is that naive that basically convinces people that that's what the case is, or even GME's case. They label all this run up from last week till today for what it was. It was for announcing something that was going for the NFT market. I mean, it was so stupid that something about their NFT and their partnership with Loopring. It was just so stupid that clearly, anyone that follows this and knows this pretty well knows that this has nothing to do with the real reasons of why you know this thing ran up, or both of those stocks ran up. And my charting internet, my Wi-Fi stopped working. See, this is the shit. When they come over, of course, there's nothing wrong with it, and then they leave, then automatically it just connects and disconnects on its own. Now you guys are the ones who are telling me the price action, so I'm just streaming and telling you guys, but I can't see the price action. So yeah, so that concludes that. But we're gonna get into tlry and sundial now too as well. Uh, Vincent, how are you, brother? Hopefully you heard what was happening as I said it. If not, I will repeat. Peter, yes, beyond control, and one of those I can actually name these to you, even though there's a lot even more actually. But you got Palantir, who is on the verge of also doing something crazy. Of course, bbig is doing something wild, and it could be in the after hours. You got spce, set up and primed, of course. Um, at any given time, you also have koss with such a very small float. At any given time, koss can cause havoc. We'll just put it that way. Of course, AMC leading the way, and GME following right after, because I guess, obviously both of them are on the same algorithm. But for sure, AMC still leads the way. It's just being throttled down, with what they did to it, and whoever made that huge sell in the morning to just get it back within the parameters of control. Um, let's see what else. It's pretty sickening to see how the SEC allows this to go on when it's clear as day to everyone. Well, of course, it is very clear, and that's the sad part. Um, and on top of that, you don't see Gary Gensler tweet. I mean, it's so crazy how when crime is happening, that's when Gary Gensler is tweeting. It's so crazy how it's. I don't know if they're mocking him, or he's like, okay, I'm gonna pretend like I'm still in the background, so I'm gonna make my presence felt on the net while this is happening, or he knows that that's gonna get us upset because we see crime and we see him tweeting about something completely irrelevant. Um, and he knows that that gets to us. Maybe they're trying to reverse psychology on us and get us mad so that we can all just sell while angry. I don't know what kind of fifth grader or teenage or even kindergarten games they're trying to pull, but um, clearly no one is leaving after all this time for no chump change. I mean, people didn't leave when it was 72, 73 as far as for AMC, and clearly a big amount of people, a huge amount of people from GME did not sell at the 483 or 82 level when it went there. So I don't know what kind of game these guys are practicing or trying to get, but it's not working clearly. And they need to revolve to sickening ways and manipulating and cheating ways in order just to stay relevant and not completely get obliterated. Um, Tranquilizer for Jimmy and AMC run. Well, for the moment, that's what they have it for. But this is just so annoying that that Wi-Fi is, for some odd freaking reason, is not connecting. Sorry for my French, guys. Um, so that I could see the charts. Um, let's see. Margin calls is close. The problem they have is this week, depending on where we end, uh, they have to account for all the call options for $20 or whatever close on Friday. See, here's the thing. I'm just waiting on the Wi-Fi so I can easily tell you even more on that. But here's one thing I can tell you, brother, is that not only do they have to account to those call options from the $20 from last week, this week we are already set up, and I shared on the community tab, the picture of the in the money and the out of the money puts and calls for this week. And since that number is so gigantic, automatically, if we close, as far as seeing it just from the morning, I'm trying to get an update now, but my Wi-Fi is not coming on. Um, it's the worst Wi-Fi in the world, and it's the worst. I don't know, understand why this is happening. Like the internet is so good, and it's airing out very great signal, but it just disconnects on its own out of nowhere. And I called them, I brought them in today, and they said everything is perfect. And guess what? It starts doing it again now. Life food spectrum. So, anyways, it automatically will this week with what they have to deal with from last week. It's automatically gonna make this week be that much more heavy. The problem is for them, not for us, is that as we speak at this price that we're at under $30, like if we close above $30, you're talking about we're gonna have over 100,000 contracts in the money calls, and then about 77,000 or 78,000 puts out of the money, which means like look at that crazy cornering. If they drop the price, majority of those 77,000 puts will become in the money. If they let the price go, then even more and more call options will go in the money, but a few more puts will go out of the money. Now, if they let this happen, now you get where I'm going with this. If they let the call option part go, and reach its potential, then and not tackle that part, then that's a bigger problem that they will have on their hand because they won't be able to cover that. You're talking about possibly over 150, maybe up to 160, 170,000 contracts just from this upcoming week, like this current week on by Friday. If they dip the price, you're talking about almost 100,000 worth of puts, call puts, will be in the money then. And if those guys, like either way you go, they're screwed. You see what I'm saying? So like they drop it, they're screwed. It's a lesser screwed than the calls, but do they even have the money to cover for this or this, even in general? Which is why I have the inclination to say that someone this morning said, screw this, I'm out, and probably went ahead and started covering, which explains why we've seen that crazy fast run up in the morning, which only looks normal. Things only look like that when it's covering time. And then obviously somebody went against the grain, and of course the market maker jumped in and said, no, person is not supposed to do this. Everybody's supposed to wait on my signal. And then that particular person, whoever it was, possibly said, you know what? No, this guy's gonna give me the signal when the fire is already inside the house or when I'm being burned, because he's gonna live. I need to make sure I survive. So he probably went and flipped the switch and just didn't even warn anybody and did one of those movie moments with what was that movie name? Margin Call, and just covered, and in return they had to figure out a way to close his basically to not let that be the cause of that crazy run up, which will trigger more margins or automatic margins to the rest of the players above him. So of course, that's when they did the halt. That's when Robinhood came and reported to everybody that they did not halt, but many brokers did. Um, they're playing news anchor, you know, position now. That's what they're doing. That's what Robinhood is now. It's not just a investing app. It also is a news anchor and reports news live to you, and snitches on the other brokers. So I don't think Robinhood is in good standings, even with not just with us, but with the rest of the crew out there. Um, and then, the rest is history. Basically, they either found somebody with a big position in both and told and convinced them, or paid them off to drop all those crazy shares just so that they can get it back within the parameters of algo control. But even then, like, you still see, like, before my Wi-Fi cut off, to see on my charts, um, AMC was going up 4%, and obviously bbig was ripping toward the end here. But 1 second, please. Let me go ahead and do a final refresh on this, because this is really, really annoying. So stay on with me. As soon as I come back from refreshing this, it's only going to take 3 seconds. I'm going to answer some questions. So please pile up the questions. Okay. I'm back. Man. Okay, sorry. I'm back, guys. Wow. Let's see. All right. Weaver said, can we even win when they have all these criminal tricks in their pocket? And can you explain why they can? Okay. As far as why they can, brother, that's beyond anybody for explaining. Obviously, that's something just because they have the means, the money, they have the connections on the inside, and plus they're the ones who's surrounding it. Just think of it like this. Imagine we're stranded on an island and there's only one fire right now, one fire pit, that's it. Whoever is surrounding that fire automatically is claiming it for themselves, or they kind of control the flow of that, unless somebody comes and takes over and changes the regime. That someone who's going to come and change the regime is us in this scenario. They are the ones who are around that fire pit, and they kind of control who gets close, how much fire gets out, and when it goes off and when it goes on. And as you can see right now, my Wi-Fi is back on. I'm seeing that we're moving very slowly, but we have an upward trajectory movement. So they're trying to keep it that way so that they can deal with as much damage coming in without it coming in all at once, like an avalanche. And the way that they can control the algo, Weaver, there's many ways, of course, that they can do this. But one of the ways is by obviously having access to as many shares, or the synthetics that they can get through the DTC's reservoir of shares, since we know that the overall big reservoir of shares is the DTCC. And the market maker has obviously access to that barrel for as they see fit. Unfortunately, I don't know the best way to say it to you without having to make it look really bad on our system, but it is what it is. What's been the most like solid out of all the plays, at least for the last few months, or at least for the last few pumps? It's been bbby. Um, yeah, it's manipulated like crazy, but it had like literally like an upward movement since it went down to the $12 range, $11 range. And I have some friends that I actually they asked me like, what do you think? And I was like, hey, this one. And they all are happy with their positions. Like, they're way over doubled their accounts because they jumped in around the $12 range. And clearly, as you can see now, is at 27, 24, dancing with the $27 range. It hasn't been making no crazy movement, but it's been steadily moving forward like a marathon's mindset, which is impressive. Looking at, bbig, it looks like they're going to make some crazy announcement or something later on today in the aftermarket or tomorrow. Something is happening, unless it's failure to delivers that just one big chunk just got delivered for an 11% uptick in the price. I'm surprised to see ater moving in general, and instead I anticipate it really dumping down tomorrow probably, simply because of the offering that they did. I heard they did some sort of offering, and it's so crazy how the media can change the narrative to whatever behavior they're utilizing, as they see fit. So, for example, don't be surprised if tomorrow you see ater dump really down and they put out PR saying, "Oh, because of the offering now it's diluted." But while a day ago it was being pumped for the very same news. So as they see fit, they will announce the same thing over and over again, and and the narrative could be this, like it could be the same news but different narrative. So crazy. And bbig is trying to, like, it's like literally trying to crush whatever is in front of it, or whatever resistance or anything that's around it. Someone is trying to keep it down like crazy. IMPP not having a very good day today, but again, all that could change in one trading session. Okay, let's see. Ham said, hard to beat the thieves. I take a puff right now. There is times coming. Believe me, I still feel April 14 calls will print hugely, I think. Ham, here's the thing. The problem with April the 14th is, by this point, I know when you were first telling me this was like over a month and a half, 2 months ago. Now, I personally, and I'm not gonna, I'm not advising anybody to get or not to get things. Hopefully, that does not self-incriminate me or by any means or whatever. But I personally have calls on for the 14th, actually on bbig itself and for sundial. So we'll see how that evolves. But I'm not very optimistic simply because of the intrinsic value that goes away in the decay as the market maker keeps doing this crap, of leveling out plays and make it move very, very, very stagnant. Like, if that's the case, then they have ultimately finally figured out their hedging strategy for crazy amounts of calls on the market that they would not have money to pay when the squeeze, to pay for when the squeeze comes. Let's see. So it had a crazy move and it calmed down. That's bbig for you. That's what these guys are doing. Um, okay, let's take a look back in EMC. Now we're also going to talk about sundial, guys. Okay, let's move over to sundial. But before doing so, I want to see BBIG's last quarter charting. Just one moment, guys. Or actually, let's look at the year. This is a terrible chart. Okay. So it looks like for BBIG, from this point that we're at right now, we literally kind of have no major resistance. I mean, obviously there's always resistance, but major resistance is not there until the $5.10 range, 5.20. So we're literally prepared for clear takeoff based on any PR coming in, whether in the after hours or tomorrow or something. Again, this is still ripping without any news, even though we know that everything has been submitted for the Cryptide spinoff into the SEC. It's just a matter of them posting the record date for giving out the dividends or the spinoff. Okay. Um, AMC coming out with a free NFT, AMC and GME up 900%. My fear is the government released a Russian hacker and Brandon already sent a warning about cyber attacks. KG magically gets bailed out by the hackers and the government blames Russia. Um, yeah, welcome to the deep state government mindset where there's nothing you could do about anything, basically, or any of that. Um, good luck finding any evidence for that. Uh, okay, BBBY moving normal. Tlry. It absolutely makes no sense how Tlry, literally, specifically Tlry, had all these call options, yes, like last Friday, way worse than GME, way worse than AMC, and it's still moving, 3-4%. I probably think that it's going to be something crazy moving in the after hours for it, possibly. As far as sundial, now as we're looking at it, you can see there's nothing special on the day. It's been having its sell, like, many buying orders. And as you can see, same thing, ladder attacks. Whenever it gets to a certain area where it's about to take off and break the roof, they dip it literally right back down, just to make sure that it stays within those parameters that they can control algorithmically. Now, I can't wait to see. I'm pretty sure they're going to, in the PR, like after the market closes, I'm assuming they're gonna do something similar to what that stock did yesterday. Um, who was it? I'm forgetting. After my nap, I forgot literally everything. Um, it was a stock that had its earnings report yesterday, and in was it Clever Leaves? I think it was Clever Leaves. It was something Leaves. I think it was that stock. The literally, like, on that same trading day, and the day before that, it ran up crazy, like 40, 30, 70%. Um, and then suddenly they post the earnings, and the earnings were like a loss of 44 cents compared to it was supposed to be, um, you know, per share, but instead it lost like 56 or 66 cents per share. So that was too huge to the point where it dropped crazy the next trading business day and the pre-market. So I hope they don't do something like that. I mean, I'm assuming at this point that they are. Yes, of course, they're going to report a loss per share. But in the same time, they just literally did, like last night, they finalized that acquisition of Alkaline, that alcohol company that they that they purchased, and they verified the record date for it and everything all last night. So Sundial is primed with that, but I'm still believing that they're going to report some data and the media is going to spin right off of it. That, oh, they reported a loss per share. I just would like to know what company is still coming out of this pandemic not reporting any losses. That would be epic to know. Um, Even Apple reported losses, guys. Um, so the fact that the media can come out and still do this, like we didn't come out of a pandemic or the world is not going through inflation and wars, it's so crazy that they still be able to use that as a narrative in the media to bring the stock down. And look at the attacks. The attack force is out now on AMC and GME. make it close 0.5% or 1% in the green at best. If that's the case, like I told you guys yesterday, that there will be zero fundamentals in the market if these did not rip. You saw it early in the morning. It ripped. It got that weird halt out of nowhere, and then after that, everything has been in order for them. Um, so I'm politically correct, even when things don't come out true. Politically, something happened to screw us over yet again. But this one was right in front of everyone's eyes. It wasn't some sort of, oh, I read this wrong or I didn't read this wrong. No, it ripped and we all saw it. You're talking about $3-4 in a matter of minutes. And then a weird halt that apparently not all brokers initiated. Clearly, Robinhood reported that many brokers stopped trading or halted trading on GME and AMC at that moment, and it's literally like until now there's no um, reasoning of what. Yeah, they say could say volatility and for the drop, but that note came out before on Robinhood's site. That came out before the halt happened, and even after that note came out, instantly the halt came up, and the note came up, and then after that the halt happened, and after that you've seen the rest, the movement for the rest of the day. I even forgot that I still had the hookah. Okay. What's up, Frank? Yeah, right. Good good luck with this power hour, right? Um, wow. It's easily infuriating, guys. Like it's to say the least, just to say the least. Um, Future, what's up, brother? Hopefully we gap up as well. Yeah, at night. Um, the April 14th calls ham, in my personal opinion, could be are very very bullish. Is a very bullish day, but with what was orchestrated today and what I've seen happen today, that is getting me to sweat now on those calls, and I have to make some possibly some adjustments, simply because of the amount of power that they have legally or illegally is beyond imagination. The fact that they were able to pull this off with ease without anyone or anything burning and breaking in the background and chaos ensuing, um, it's very swift and crazy that, yeah, the mindset on calls have to change for a bit, um, simply from this. Again, at the end of the day, that they have to meet that day. That means they have to meet that day. Our time is there. The problem that I'm having is our time keeps coming, and then they do something like this, like what happened today. No one can come out on whatever YouTube channel, whatever, and try to tell you that today, oh yeah, the we had it, but after the halt, they slammed us, and I don't want to hear none of that stuff. That's anybody can hyper, you know, probably think about that. But the truth of the reality is, as I reported to you guys, that conspiracy that happened with Robinhood reporting that many dealers or many brokers um, stopped or halted trading on GME and AMC before the halt happened, and then the halt happens like is simultaneously right after, and then after that halt, the movement is normal. Because here's how I can prove it to you guys also more, not just conspiracy speak. If let's say whatever happened was true, okay, I'm gonna like so I'm gonna give you both sides so you can see how this was crime that happened earlier this morning. If it truly ran up $3-4 in a matter of just minutes, literally in minutes, let's say there was huge selling pressure, like that's what the narrative that they're trying to spin over to us is. Let's say there was really selling pressure. when the halt when it falls 7-10%, even more than 10% quickly under 10 minutes, obviously what it did, it triggered that first circuit breaker. And when it triggered that circuit breaker, it halts for 5, 10, 15 minutes. But afterwards, when it reopens, it needs, or logically, it needs to continue dumping because the selling pressure is what they're saying, or clearly what they're trying to show you, is very, very immense and is very high. Too much pressure, too much selling pressure. But instead, it drops it underneath that zone, drops it an extra 5, 6% so that it can be under control while the algorithm is kicking itself back up and restarting its algorithmic sequence. And then when the algorithms all kicked in and back into it, you saw GME and AMC being very stagnant the rest of the day. I mean, we reached a point where we were at 100 million, within the first hour or even less of trading. Um, and ever since then, we've just been moving up and down the rest of the day on some really, really, really stupid numbers, like, up 2% and down 4, and then up 5, and then down 3. Um, so this is how I can prove to you that this was foul play in the morning, is that it didn't continue its way down, or neither did it continue its way up. It just needed to get back within its parameters so it can continue that small gradual rise that is apparently something that these hedge funds and the market maker can handle. And that way the market maker can also hedge for their options, because I just told you guys, like, however way they cut this, they can't let it drop drastically and they cannot let it rise drastically, because on either side, they look to lose a lot. Like, you have call options that are over 100,000 call options, easily well above that, that April 1st, which is the end of this week, comes to expire. If we break above the 30, automatically that over 100,000 contracts are in the money. They have to answer for those next week, next Monday. And I don't know how, because that is way more than the amount of contracts they needed to answer for from last week. Now, if they drop it drastically underneath 30, then you have also almost about 100,000 contracts. You're talking about 80,000 right now as we speak, maybe 85. Since the rest of the day, I can look at it and check, but at least we have comfortably 80,000 puts that if it drops drastically underneath 30, that they will also have to pay at the end of this week, that they will have to account for next week. So how are they going to be able to, deal with all this? Well, the answer is keep it like this. Small gradual movements like they would need by the end of this week on Friday. They're going to see what their target of the least amount of losses on the option chain, and they're going to target that number to be exactly there so that they can incur as least amount of losses as possible. And this is just coming from today, which is Tuesday. Watch how I will be completely correct on this. We can fact checks at the end of the week. That's basically what their intention is to try to keep it very small, stagnant movement. Let many, many more people play more options that are out of the money, so that when it gets to, Wednesday, tomorrow, or even Thursday, they know what they have to keep inside the money and what they have to get out of the money, so that they don't get completely obliterated next Monday. And clearly that's what it was, because what happened in the morning was unacceptable. What happened in the morning for them was supposed to be a trigger of not the gamma ramp, the trigger of the squeeze. Because do you know how many margins were going to be dished out by now had this not been touched? We right now would be easily in the higher 50s, possibly in the 60s, with ease, if none of that foul play in the morning happened. Again, within the first 7 minutes of trading hours. It's so baffling, all this stuff. But again, it's so much to share with you. So that's why I understand that, I'm trying to take it easy. Let's see, tlry is normal. BlackBerry is Okay, sundial is the same bbby. Um, you got spce moving good. bbig still on the up move. Still no news reported officially, so that's the weird part. But you can expect it now that the market officially closed. Um, you can expect something to come out at some point around 6ish. That seems to be the best time for them to report things, guys. I've noticed that. After 7% on the day. Let's see. So AMC was able to close underneath. We literally just called it. Like before this, remember, I was like, it's gonna close like what, 1% or 0.5% in the in the money, in the green, and it closed at what, 0.4. This is so fucking sick. Sorry for my French again. I'm literally pissed off at um, how they get away with shit and they can do stuff, and do so much of it. And and the craziest part is that even the SEC, that's supposed to be like the sheriff in town, happens to be tweeting in such a long time. He didn't tweet like something that's so massive like today. He tweeted twice. At one point he was making tweets, um, nothing about the crime. I don't trust branding government. How does the FBI lose the laptop? His administration is either not very intelligent or this is purposefully done. I don't know. I think we need Will Smith on the job. I'm pretty sure he's a great interrogator. No one is going to withhold any info. Occupy again Ken Griffin Street. Yeah, we need to get everybody to move out of Chicago and the state of Illinois. That way his fortune becomes nothing. I don't know. People like that are hard to get rid of. Once they go on Mount Rushmore of those wealthiest billionaires in the world out there, it's hard to get rid of them. In fact, now it's not like they got to be the god in that future, which everybody. I don't know if everybody knows this, but I know I'm 100% on that train. That crypto is the future, obviously, and he wants to transfer to be the man like he was in the stock market in the crypto world, especially by partnering up with those companies that, like I said, I think it was Prism, and I forgot the other company's name. I did say it in one of the videos in the past, but clearly one of them owns Coinbase, so, and a few other major crypto wallets and brokerages. So let's see. We have, we'll see those movements. Okay. Uh, Vincent had either way, I'm holding to the moon or zero. Not financial advice, but retailers are the movement. Hey, you and me both, brother. Um, Amen to that and touche to that because, at this point, you don't get like, just heated anymore because it happens so much. You're so disgusted to the point where, like, I don't care. I have nothing to lose anymore. It's the same life that I have, whether with or without, it's the same thing. So therefore, I'm in it for a change, complete change in life, financial change in life, and therefore, that's what I'm in this for. Personally speaking, again, it's not financial advice. So therefore, they have everything to lose. I have everything to gain, and at the same time, I have nothing to lose, and they have everything to lose. So, um, Eric made my conviction stronger. Let's effing go. Me and you, brother. Uh, let's see. just means tomorrow is going to be harder for them. It's just going to be bigger for long hodlers. Yeah, you see, that's the crazy part, is that it's gonna only mean that it's gonna be harder and harder and harder. Every day it gets harder and harder for them. Um, the thing is, and while we're saying that, let me just check something I didn't check today. I don't know how I forgot to check that, which is the reverse repo operations for the day. So I think we have 86 counterparties, and it's going back up now. And we have 88 participating counterparties, and still the rate is 0.30. So they can go and F off with all the talks about raising the hikes and easy money policy. They can, they're just saying that to announce something. But clearly trillions are still being poured in on daily reverse repo operations through the dark pool, which was heavily utilized for today's gimmicks. But it's back to $1,718,000,000,000, almost $719 billion. Man, a lot of taxpayer money, lots of taxpayer money. What a pity. Let me check something else as well. Let me check on the dark pool. Is this correct? What? Can anybody confirm how much the volume on the day today, the overall volume for AMC was? There's no way. Um, okay. Um, it was 211, wasn't it? 211 million? Yep. Oh, Eric had it there for a while, and just thanks, Eric, and whoever else also reported it. Appreciate it. Oh, thanks, everyone. Yeah, appreciate it, future. Thanks, Frank. Yeah, so apparently we had 119.6, so basically 120 million of all those 211 million went through the dark pool. So clearly over 50%. Um, I would not be surprised if majority of buying orders, they went ahead and submit them through the dark pool, and all the sell orders that are going through retail, they went ahead and also submitted them through the dark pool, and then submitted them on the lit exchange, to affect the price. Let only the make it seem like the dark pool, all the buy orders could be turned in through the dark pool to on the lit exchange, so that it can look like so much was dropped down that it make it look real, but clearly that's not the case. Okay, let's see. Who has any questions? Any burning questions? Um, The volume would have had to match up and down, right? Well, here's the thing. I don't know, Eric, if I'm answering this correctly, if this is what you're asking, but I'm gonna say one thing, and you could also, chime in and say if you were asking referring to something else. The volume clearly favors an upward movement in the price trajectory because and that's been on a daily basis, like on a daily, not just like today only. AMC and GameStop have more buying orders than selling orders, yet on many even separate days you've seen a huge red or some red in the price action. um, and it can't be explained because, like, according to the volume, is the price should be moving up when you have more buying than selling. um, Obviously there's a high demand for this. This is, theoretically speaking, this is what that means, is that we have high demand for this ticker, and in the same time the price is going down. It makes no sense that something that is so sought after drops in value. you know if I have something, um, let's say we're in the end world, and I have this huge amount of grain that is just like, I've been holding on to since before the apocalypse happened, and automatically all that grain becomes very, very, very sought after and pricey and valuable, because even more than precious metals, because right now at that particular moment in time it means a lot more than gold and silver and diamonds, because they can't keep you alive, but grain could feed you to keep you alive through the apocalypse. So you see what I'm saying? Like, using this method of thinking, like, when you have more buying of something, that means it's very sought after, and when it drops in value it makes no sense, because if it's so sought after, it needs to go up in value because more and more people want it. And less of it is becoming evident. Now the thing is, when they continue to make synthetics, um, that's the only way to make it watered down, or like water down the value of it, because there's so much of it, even though there's so much buying of it, but there's so much of it, that it will not make a difference, in its value. In a way, kind of similar to Dogecoin. When you think of Dogecoin, the fact that this chain, um, that's one of the main reasons valueless um, product or coin changed that code in that link, or that price will never be something like Ethereum or Bitcoin. Um, but it has the potential. It's just so far behind, as far as just the dynamics. And one of the biggest dynamics is the fact that it has an unlimited supply of coins. So it doesn't matter how much I buy. If what's the value of a dollar if there's an unlimited amount of it? You see what I'm saying? So what makes something valuable is its rarity, or the amount of it out there, and how much of it is have been consumed or purchased, um, and what is left out there of it. Because if so few is left out there, that makes that so few very, very valuable, and any other person who wants to sell something from that um, entity or that thing would have to sell it for a lot more than what they bought it for, because right now it's on demand. And the same thing you see in the cars. In the tax return season, the cars all go up in value because there's less cars, but there's a lot more buyers. So the demand and supply becomes, goes crazy. That's why they always say never buy a car um, in March to from February all the way to the beginning of May, because in that season, in those 3 months, you're just, it's just automatically every year every dealer has been buying from auctions and from people, trade-ins, whatever, so they can keep their inventory, so they can prepare for this phenomena. That's what these car dealers um, wait for every year, is for this season, because this is fishing season, and that's where they make most of their bread and butter. Um, so the fact that the price goes down when there is more buying than selling only ensures, was one thing that we all knew for now, but professionally. Like, let's just say professionally, it ensures the coexistence of synthetic shares. Simply, like the best and simple way to explain it. That's just it. If there's no synthetic shares, then obviously the need would be very, very high because all the demand would be the same, which is very high, a lot of purchasing. Um, but if there was no synthetics or no foul play, then of course the entity would have much less available for sale by now. If we didn't obviously, of course, buy or purchase the float many times over and over again. If it was just one float, then we wouldn't even be here today as we speak. This would have been went over way before even January of 2021. There will be no June 2021. There will be no now, no us as we speak right now over here. Who knows? I would have had possibly, I don't know, a biker YouTube channel. Okay, let me go back over here. Eric, I day trade 3 times in a day, and I'm suspended, banned, and reported to the IRS. Hedgy trade, 900 gazillion, yeah, number that can't even be read times a second. And well, yeah, Eric, that's the sad reality. I mean, but the thing is like they're okay. So if you don't have, and I'm pretty sure you know this, if you don't have over, 24, 25K in your account, then you can't day trade as many as you want. Clearly, they made that limit so that they know that any of these big players would never face that issue because their smallest account is possibly like what, $1 million. So they don't have to worry about that. It's I wouldn't even be honestly, Eric, I wouldn't even be pissed at that as the most thing. There's many things to be more mad at as far as they have all those advantages and they still cheat. That's what I would be mad at. you know I don't need, you know what, let's say you can, if you have to give up something in order for them to play ball by the rules, then I would give up whatever. Okay, if the no three, no problem. You know what, make the limit not 25,000, make it 1 million. I don't mind, but let them play ball and stop letting this uh madness happen as we see, like, ensues. It's just the ethics of the market has been all over the street. That's how bad it is. All over the floor. Thanks, Eric, for reminding everyone to hit that like button. I appreciate you. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, guys. If you haven't liked, please like so I can push it out to more and more people, even though we're trying to wrap things up as we speak right now. I think, does anyone know if sndl started their earnings? Let's see. If not, it probably could be by 5. Sundial. Let me see what anybody said. Yeah, look at Eric. This is very cool to read. Yeah, half the float was traded today, almost. But there is 90% retail ownership, 54% institutional ownership, and 13% insider ownership. At 0.45 today, apes are gonna be rich. I like your math. Uh, oh, TD says 207. Well, when I get off this live, I'll look at my phone because that's where I have my TD on. Um, that's interesting. I'll look at that. Thanks, Eric. Pabloco, how are you, brother? ¿Qué pasó? Um, I agree with you, Eric. Yeah. Um, and I almost missed Mr. Allen. Wow, how could I? I almost made the greatest mistake of my life. Alan, how are you, brother? Yes, only 15 million less than yesterday. And tlry looking healthy, yes, but what does not look healthy is the movement actually. This is today was supposed to be a breakout moment for tlry, and it was in the making. I'm telling you guys, I've seen this setup before. It happened the same exact style and way in June, not just in January, but in June of 2021, where AMC rips. GameStop ensues and follows and stays on the same line, just less than not the same strength of AMC, but does the same movement. Um, and then the rest of the other stocks, those meme stocks, started following because they have to cover here, there, and here, there. And a big theory out there also is, guys, and it could be possible that with them also, kicking the can down the road further and further and further, they're also doing something. Is that once every 5, 6, 7 months, they have to at least do some sort of failure to delivers, which could explain why we get these weird price surges out of nowhere. Um, because they have such a firm grip on the price action and the manipulation. So why would they ever let it get out of hand? Well, obviously you could say that their money's drying up. It costs money to do what they gotta do, but let's be honest, guys. Don't you think with all the crime that they have and all the connections and all the access to all the resources they have, even possibly to straight up to the Oval Office, um, would they ever let that be the reason? Like, even though that's the technical reason, yes, but in the same time, you can't help but to think that they might be even overlooking that just because they are who they are. Um, so is it possible that they're just every once in a while, every 5, 6 months, they make a random rip just because they have to give something in order to take so much? Because they take a lot more than what they give on these small run-ups that we get. I'm not satisfied with this. I'm looking, the only thing that will satisfy me is the squeeze that we so badly deserve, of course, because we've purchased, we did our part, played by the rules, we didn't cheat, we didn't do nothing, we didn't even swap, we're just talking. They do the same thing, opinions. Hey, what do you think? None of us is telling anybody go and invest or go and buy and do this. No, everybody's doing their own thing, but they clearly are not doing so, and they have every single advantage in the universe on their side. Um, so that's the only thing that I see that could be fair is, or what somewhat fair is, them letting the squeeze come through. Okay, let's see. Does anybody know? Did they? I don't think they're reporting. I think they report on a five probably. Oh, no. Is it scheduled to March 30th now? I thought it was after hours today. Alan, I haven't done anything on Nile. Um, I did see the breakout it had yesterday. Um, I haven't done any, honestly, I'll be honest with you, any research on that, and that's a very tough one because simply because I have been super, super, super busy with having to decide on what I want to do with my tlry and sundial uh, calls and my AMC calls. Um, so it's tough. I'm looking at the seeing if sundial will actually report now or if it's going to be really before the market opens tomorrow. Because if that's the case, then why the hell would they report 29th on the app? But yeah, I will come back to you with an answer possibly on the later video, like later on tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and post a video um, and just kind of like re-talking about what happened with today. And the same time, I'm gonna do my due diligence on Nile for you, brother, and I will just add it as a little tip in the at the end or some part throughout the video. Um, and if sundial does their earnings, then obviously we should see some crazy movement afterwards. Yeah, Eric, same thing. Yeah, people's been talking about it. I've seen the run up that it had yesterday, but I haven't, just like I said, done anything on it because I have so much riding on these next few weeks with calls and stuff like that. And, all my moolah is kind of put in on these things. I just have some money on the side, for in case any random dip comes out of nowhere, for GME or AMC, just so that when my order goes in, it can go in. And the reason for it, guys, when I go for the dips, like, okay, I'm always been an advocate for the idea of doesn't matter what the price is, because you have AMC or GME at this current valuations. It's a joke compared to what I'll be, or what anybody could sell them for. Again, this is not financial advice, guys, but I'm just saying my opinion. What do you will sell it for when it's all said and done? Now, of course, everyone would love to have more shares, so that's why they try to time a dip. But my reasoning for buying on a dip is not for that. The reason why I would buy on a dip is simply so that all I can literally say that all my buys came in on the times when we're getting attacked. So when we need us with, like, when you need investors the most, that's when I pop up, you know? So I don't care. Like, let's say tomorrow AMC starts dropping like 4 or 5%. I will be buying, This is just me. Because I do want to be a thorn in their head, at all times. So when they try to, hammer it down, I'm gonna be one of the orders, and I don't care if they siphon through the orders or they utilize it to liquefy or do whatever to the like to the price of the stock. As for me, again, no one can tell you when you can up your position, um, on any stock, when it's limited and when you can and when you cannot. I think that's pretty crazy for anybody, for them to even have that privilege to say that you shouldn't because you're diluting. Well, who's to say that whatever shares you have, doesn't matter when you bought them, are not part of what diluted the stock? So like everyone is in the same. No, I can never tell somebody you can't buy anymore. Um, Even if I was a financial advisor, I'm not, or to sell at some point, or when not to sell or when to sell. So for me, I only buy on downticks because I want to be one of the green going in, one of the orders that are green going in the midst of a crisis, thinking like of the moment. Like, for example, if we drop tomorrow 8, 5, 6, 7%, I don't care. I'm not going to wait for it to go down all the way to, whatever, 15, 17, 18, 20. This is just a theoretical example, guys. I'm just telling you the strategy of when I buy because of morally what I'm buying for. It's just more of a moral reason rather than just, I buy because I'm waiting for the perfect dip. Not for AMC and GME. For other plays, yes, but for GME and AMC, I just want to be some of the green going in on a red day. So at least it's not totally as bad. And eventually, my overall dream is to become extremely, extremely, extremely big as far as of a whale transaction so that whenever I do that, I can actually make a dent in their, you know, in their gimmicks and their plays, but only on the green side. Let's see. Yeah, Eric. When that happened, you know what your boy did. Alan, there is a lot of truth to that. Okay, I'll tell you why. Um, Here's the thing: those people are most likely people who bought these options, um, like during the dip, but those options were way out of the money. Okay, because let's say, for example, go back a week ago. I'm explaining how those people are reporting this and how they're not FUD. They're actually correct. Um, because a week ago, the price of GME at some point in the beginning of last week um, was in the higher 70s, like actually in the 80s. And now you're talking about almost what, like over $100 rip. So what happened most likely was that these people had purchased way out of the money calls back then, so the price of the option itself was so cheap. So when it started rising in value, like when it went up $100, they easily could be in the money just because of right now. But if time keeps going, let's say they're playing um, like right now, GME, let's say, is at 180 or $190. Okay, let's just say that it's there now because I don't have the chart open anymore. So let's say GME is at 180 bucks. Now, a week ago, roughly 2 weeks ago, it was at $80. There's $100 difference in that time frame. Now, let's say some of those people that are reporting those photos um, purchased those options back then, but purchased the $350 strike price. Okay, so we know that GME is nowhere near that. And they purchased the one that's due in June or May, for example. Um, because the time for the extrinsic value of the option or the call is far away, so that decay is still have not kicked in as far as the gamma and the theta, they did not take away as much of the value of the option. So let's say that right now, since we're about a month and almost a month still away from the May timeline, even though it's not close to 300, but it went from 80, which is the time when that person purchased that contract, to 180, which means they're in the money now. Now, here's the thing. If these people don't sell those contracts right now for that profit, then imagine every day will lose in value, even if price of GME stays at 180, or even if price of GME jumps to 300, you know, 340, which is that same strike price on that same day in May, all that money will go away. Literally, it just goes away. It's all about extrinsic value and time decay of those calls. That's why they have those. And I'm not a financial advisor, but I'll tell you this. At that point, that's when you know that, okay, you have to realize how greedy are you? You know, like, do I sell this now or do I continue to stay greedy, hoping that it does jump completely to that $340 strike price as I was using as a reference in this example, and then the profits are obviously going to be very, very, very unimaginable. Now, you asked me from the beginning, why would they even purchase that 300 strike price? It sounds ludicrous, right? Well, because one, it's FOMO. That's like and gambling in a way. Um, but in the same time, the more expensive or the higher the strike price, the less the amount of it is, because it's considered extremely risky. Of course, the higher it goes, the more risk is involved. So therefore, when you when these people go and buy those, they most likely buy them for $10 at the time when it was really low, $5, $10, $20, and guess what? In return, they get to see a $500 return, something like those posts are posting. So yeah, there's no FUD about these. Like, there is some truth to what is being posted, guys. Just putting my 2 piece on that. If they bought the 500, um, let's see this. If they bought the 500 strike price, but when they bought the contract, they bought it when it was in the 70s, remember, or the bottom 80s, a week, 2 weeks ago, roughly. Um, just that volatility in the price action in such a small time makes the obviously makes the algorithms and the theta and the gamma of the call itself spike up with the volatility, which means why that's why they're still seeing that uh, you know that profit. Now, fast forward till tomorrow, I double guarantee you that even if the price stays the same, um, that their profits will dwindle. It will go down to 400 or 300 in the profit. Because again, extrinsic value, the closer it gets to that expiration date, um, the more the gap narrows, and the more that, if you're not above that strike call, it's most likely you're losing money, So they got the $500 strike. Let's say they got it for May. Um, if May comes around, May 1st or whatever the day is, and it's 300 or 400, then they would lose every single penny. They would not even have a single dollar in value. Um, that would even happen up till like a week before or 2 weeks before. It would completely be 99.9% gone, unless a miracle happens where it goes and squeezes crazy and it goes above that 500, and then you're back into the profits plus, and at least you could get the opportunity to exercise. But who would want to exercise? Like, imagine the price of GME at $500, and you didn't meet the break-even value, which means you're losing all the money on the day of. Um, that's oh my God, that would suck. And then at the same time, um, imagine if you have the ability, since you reached the strike price, but not the break-even point, then all you have is the ability to exercise, but you're gonna exercise buying GME shares at $500 a share. That would suck, dude. Oh my God. Um, Alan said, I'm heavy on BBIG now. Yeah, I'm super heavy. You know how heavy I am on BBIG. It is all said and done except for the official record date announcement, because everything has been filed with the SEC. I've seen it on personally on their website. Um, yeah, KJW. Yeah, it's not a glitch. Like, it's this is I just literally that how I explained it now is the reasoning for what happened. Um, So yeah, guys, if you need me to clarify this idea of like, or about what Alan brought up as far as the um, you know $500 calls in the money, I can definitely go into it even more. Um, Alan, as far as BBIG's issuance, here's why I'll make a case for why yes and why no. Um, the reason why yes is because when they do that, then logically they have to do some sort of share count, um, to know obviously how many people they have to dish out shares to. Now we do know that there's so many FTDs and so many um, um, like synthetics with BBIGs, similar to AMC and GME, really. Um, so it's going to be interesting. That's my bullish case as in why yes. Now why no is because you have two things. One, it's every 10 BBIGs gets you one free tide. Now in the same time, the reason why they're going to be free and tax free is because it's a special spin-off. It's not dividends. A lot of people still confuse that as well. That idea, when it's a special spin-off, means not dividend, then it's tax free for the company when they issue those shares, and tax free for the people who are holding BBIG shares, who will obviously, the cryptide will be free of tax. Um, the problem with how that works out is that in order for them to do a special spinoff, they would have to take that value, because it's all coming out of BBIG. So Vinco Ventures Tide's value evaluation is going to come from within. It's kind of like an entity, since they're spinning off that whole thing, and they're coming out with their own um, company, and they're going to be separate, even though they're all under that umbrella of Vinco Ventures. Zash. So therefore, when they split off, it's kind of like they're coming from within to go out, like kind of like delivering a baby. BBIG is delivering a baby, which is cryptide. Um, and its evaluation is going to come from within. So technically speaking, hypothetically speaking here, BBIG would uh, drop tremendously in value, because majority of that value is going to come from BBIG to go toward Creptide, in order for it to have a spin-off. Now, that could trigger two things. In order for that to come out of BBIG would most likely see a huge move to the upside so that it can, you know, give that spin-off rate, which means you could easily see that move happen at any given time. And then when that happens, they can do their spin-off, and then they can give the free cryptides to whoever is holding based on how many shares of BBIG they hold. Um, but yeah, it's very important to remember that that is how that spin-off works. It's not just that they issue it and the parent company does not get affected by it. No, the parent company, since it's a special spin-off, will it will come out from the evaluation of the parent company. Yeah, they say it forces a share count, but um, it the thing is, it should, everything should, unfortunately. Um, but we know that we're not living in an organic market and even conditions, guys. They can easily say this is what is out there, and how can we confirm ourselves, that this is the true count if they were to have one? That's the good question there. And by the way, I also do think that BBIG, according to like their evaluation of what they could go to, BBIG could easily simply, and again, you guys might be like, wow, what is this guy throwing? Like, fundamentally, the company has a really bright future as a marketing company, and it has so many great apps, and just Lamatov um, being in competition with TikTok, and no matter how much of that market it takes, it's still huge, since the main uh, competitor in that market is just TikTok. Um, Anything politically happens crazy where Trump possibly comes back in, or um, anybody else comes in and says, hey, no more Chinese based company or whatever, and all that stuff, or TikTok, you're gone. Um, that opens up right away for Lamatov to be the uncontested, you know, company to fall through. They also have AdRiser. Um, it's crazy how they're set up. I mean, their whole model, guys, was set up on adopting or buying out institutes or companies or entities, make them better, pimp them out, in other words, and either sell them or bring them back and have like a stake in that company of ownership and benefit from it. So they see what's something, okay, they see what's wrong with it, they fix it up, they get it going, and they pump it out there, and they put some of their money in there, and then they start doing their magic. And when it starts getting profitable, they have a stake in that company, or they sell it out for a profit to make their money. um, so fundamentally, the case that I'm making to you here is that the company has a huge, 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 huge future. And with Cryptide being on the blockchain, and excuse me, be ready to go, they also will have Adriser that also works. All of them will be correlating through one major chain, um, with Lamatov and market. Is so crazy. Like these guys, at some point they were actually offered, um, like there was an offer from Facebook. There was some rumors that there was an offer from Facebook to try to purchase them, and they did not agree to it, as far as I know. And they gave him a ludicrous amount per share. It was like $100 or $111 per share to the company, and it wouldn't. So if it's true, it's true. If it's not, but it is a rumor I've read and I've seen somewhere. I can't remember where. It was a while ago. Um, but I could see a lot of truth to that, and I could see them flourishing in the metaverse. Um, and I wouldn't be surprised if, when a stupid company, I'm not gonna say stupider because bbig is not stupid. Choose my words carefully here. When a stupid company, like, oh, I'm gonna go ahead and bring out SPRT from the dead. Now it's GREE, but it was called, before that it was SPRT. Then it got bought out by the company GREE. When it squoze, it took nothing but a week. Over the weekend, it started squeezing Thursday, Friday, then it went on the weekend. The following week, it squoze all the way up to the $67 range. And then after that, the rest is history. It went, and it was just terrible for everyone else after that point. If a company like that, who had no fundamentals whatsoever, could squeeze out shorts to those levels, that's what gives me my personal conviction that obviously bbig, when it does squeeze officially, that even $100 will be a joke for that company per share. And the future will prove that it will fundamentally earn that price, as time goes by. We will see. Any chance it was the plunge protection team that did the sell off this morning? It could be KJW. It could be. I mean, they literally, like I said, that the form of how it happened was just super, super sketchy. Robinhood coming out to report that, many brokers have halted the trading, not them, just many brokers did. And then right after that, you get a halt on both ticker symbols of GME and AMC. um, and it goes down the way that it did. Um, it has to be either the plunge team or some really major whale, institutional whale, that they somehow convinced or gave something that sounded appealing to them to sell. That's the only way you can look at it, so that they can make some money off of that, and obviously bring it down from catastrophe ensuing. Alan, I killed it on SPRT. I hope BBIG pops like that too. Yeah, SPRT was an amazing day. Believe it or not, I will take you guys back to that time on SPRT when I was not in it in the beginning. Look at this. I waited till it verified through Thursday and Friday. I remember that like it was yesterday. And it squoze out to, like, I remember it was $11. Monday, it confirmed its gigantic actual squeeze, because many of the people that were on it thought that when it moved to $11, $12, well, actually it jumped up to 14, 15, and then it jumped back down to 11, which gave the inclination to most of the people that were on it from the beginning. Their own diamond hands thought that that was the squeeze and it was over. The squeeze more than $9, $8 or $10, and that was over. Well, I came in on Monday the following week, and on that following week, that's when the craziness started happening. It started squeezing out of control. And I literally bought 0 stocks at that time. I did nothing but options on that play. And by the way, just so I can explain something to you guys, there is a way for options to be a lot more safe, which is normally on the day of the run-ups, because when on the day of the run-up, at least you cancel out the guessing on win, which means time decay and extrinsic value being lost from every day the option is not, you're still holding on to it, especially if it's out of the money as well. Again, there's a lot into the option that goes into the options world, but however, so I placed a lot of options that were way out of the money at that time, and the price was just going crazy. I remember the highest option you could buy at that time was I think $24 on on the option chain. So I loaded up on them, and remember the price was at $12. Uh, but the way that it was moving up and down was so crazy. So when I got that confirmation that okay, this is very volatile, I'm gonna go ahead and get it. Worst case scenario, what those people are reporting about the 500 being in the money, um, something like that would happen with me, which is the price could very volatile for a moment where it moves up crazy to like possibly 14, $15, and I would be in the money somehow, you know, like because of the algorithms of the option, like the call itself. And when I get kicked into that, I can make a decision as selling this contract before it gets to the expiration date and come out with a profit because I just wanted to scalp this play. Well, guess what? It starts breaking off. And like when I say breaking off, as in it went up to 40, uh, and the highest strike price to purchase on it was 24, 25. So it became so expensive just to buy the $24 strike price. And I held on to mine until it got to the, to the 50s, like I think it was like 57, 58. Um, I was gradually selling some of the call options on it, but that day, on like I've done it like I went in and out of SPRT like at least 4 times, believe it or not, like on upticks and downticks, like 4 times. It was a sick, amazingly sick day, in a good way, of profits that day. And I'm not like, gonna show off or any of that stuff, but that day, just because I'm so clear with you guys, the family here, now knowing is that we don't have so many people in the channel, so I can be a lot more comfortable with the OGs that are in here. Um, that day, literally, like I made over 60K just on SPRT, moving up and down. I had nothing to do with that movement from the get-go. I feel like a complete vulture, asshole, whatever you want to call. I'm sorry for my French. I told you I'm gonna be comfortable. Um, and to make matters worse is that I even shorted it at the end. When it halted after reaching 64, 67, it halted, and that was, we know what happens after halts like that at those high surges in the teens, and now it's here. Um, so I'm gonna short this, um, and I shorted it down to like, I think it was like 47, um, 46, 47, something like that. And then I got out. I was like, I don't want to sit here too long before it gets another wind. Who knows? And the surges back up, and then now I'm on the, screwed end. Um, Such an amazing day. It was so crazy. I was so excited. And the funny thing is, I was in the back of my restaurant in the office, doing some papers and stuff like that. And, the employees in the front can hear me in the back, like, yelling out like I'm watching a World Cup game or a Super Bowl. It was 60 plus K that was ever made probably in history. Well, at least of this channel. Alan, yeah, nothing like a big win. Of course, it was amazing. Um, but the most overall biggest win I've had was on AMC calls back in 2021 in June. Um, I don't know if I should even post a picture in the community section. No, instead, I'll just say it here for you guys. Um, Imagine on that huge run up that happened on that June, in one day alone, because I held the calls that I had an unbelievable amount of calls on that I held my calls, through many days, before letting go at least of half of them, and then I held the rest, which ended like at the end they ended up screwing over. Um, no one saw that fire distinguisher coming after reaching 74. Trust me, whoever tells you that, oh, we knew it was gonna come down, is a big time liar. Um, but yeah, in one day alone, that ran up, almost 900K within a few hours. It was the sickest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like way more sick than in January with Dogecoin, for me. had a crazy run up, and it was a few 100K, and I was like, oh my god, that was huge for that. But that June one, um, yeah, it was like it ran up in just hours. Besides my other holdings, just the calls alone ran up over 880K. Um, and I screenshotted that back then. I think it brought the overall wallet to like 1.2 million at that time. It was just sick. And I remember being at that time like watching Matt Kors going crazy on his live chat, because so many people were saying, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, and he didn't even know how to react to it. He's like, oh my God, guys, this is what it's all about, Moon Gang. Moon Gang, I am so grateful for this. Drop some super chats while you're at it. No, he didn't say that really. I'm just making fun. Um, Crazy, right? Guys, this is gonna be something that will happen with everyone. Like, this is the idea of this, is to eventually get the capital. One thing I agree with Lou, out of all the FUD that he spreads, but the guy brings valuable points here and there, of course. Um, One valuable point is that the most important thing is to ensure you have good capital for later and for what to come. Because the worst is when you have opportunities, and opportunities will always be around every day. Of course, squeeze plays like AMC and Jimmy wouldn't, but plays and run-ups, like imagine guys, if you had a couple $100,000 that you don't, I don't want to say you don't need, but you don't need to be in your bank account, but you have it in your portfolio. And you have plays like events like the IMPP, Indo Energy, Houston Oil, in those times, HYMC and its run up, and you just, drop in like a 50 to 100K on something like that. Um, and it goes up $1.50, $2, and you sell, like you just like two, three more transactions like that, and you're already above a million in just your portfolio that you're not utilizing away from your bank account and your personal life money. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, guys. Neither do I give financial advice. But at the same time, I am a very compassionate person, an emotional person, and once I'm like, trust me, guys. Trust me, bro. No, I'm just playing. Um, they're like ethical things, and do like the family I come from and the way I grew up and the values that I grew up on will for sure always allow me to just always be this guy, like to always be very, one, humble, two, straightforward. I'm gruesomely very, 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 very honest, and people don't like really believe it, especially the people that who meet me face to face or know me, is like, you're brutally honest, like, and they just say that stuff. And honestly, it was a very tough thing to cope with, because no one wants to be that person that hurts somebody's feeling or something. But when you think of it from the fact that your intentions is not to hurt, your intentions is to to correct something or to right someone's path, or if they're not aware of something that is not good for them or whatever, that's the intention. So it's all about where it's coming from. So once I was able to cope with that, it was easy for me to cope and to connect with so many people, because so many people tell me like, hey, you seem very trustworthy. And it's not that I'm trying to gain the trust, because when you try to work for it, obviously red flags are thrown. But at the end of the day, I just think of it that we're all gonna die at some point. So why go to the grave with so much pressure on holding so many things? And I wish I would have said this, I would have not held this. And only one life, guys. Every second that goes will never be back again. Um, Enjoy it and be truthful, so that when you're on your dying, bed later down the line, hopefully, 1,000 years later or 100 years later, whatever the case may be, or 5 months later. This is so cynical. um, you could say at least I have everything I'm grateful for. I was part of so many things, but one thing I don't have is regrets, you know, of not asking this person, like this chick, out, or not going into the stock, or selling out of this when I thought that I couldn't hold it anymore. Like, all those things. You don't want anything to just be a regret, you know. Even out of losses, you can forge a win, if that makes any sense. Alan, what kind of business do you have? So, okay, this ties into the story I was telling you guys. I was at some point gonna tell you guys, so I'm not gonna do it now because it's a longer story, and I think the rest of the family need to be, all of them need to be around so they could hear it. But I've been like, I did share at least one detail before, which is, since I was 21, when I was 18, my dream was to never work for anyone. I didn't want to work for nobody. I was scarred because my first job was I had the worst boss in the world. Um, these guys were literally paying me under the table. They would not even put me on tax or none of that stuff. It was in a bad, very bad neighborhood, but I needed to because my family, my dad fallen ill and stuff. Um, I needed to, my family needed it. And I was still in high school at the time. So therefore, um, I had to accept whatever. And, I was sweeping, and it was at a phone store. Um, so eventually, because they were like, they literally would make me sell phones, activate phones, check on commissions, um, fix phones, unlock phones. Um, they even had, these guys were so cheap, even though they had like 50 locations in the Ohio area. Um, and they literally, like, they were indirect dealers through, at the time, through Cricket and Cincinnati Bell, and any other indirect dealer like T-Mobile, Boost, all those. Metro PCS wasn't popping back then like it is now. I'm talking about a good amount, good 16 years ago at least. Um, so they would literally, they were so cheap that they would even have a kitchen in the background, in the back, to cook. Like, they were so cheap that they would not buy any food from outside the place, um, until they get home. And mind you, again, these guys have over 50 locations. They have a huge enterprise, uh, and they've been in the business for so many years. And they got so many buildings that they are leasing to big franchises like UDF and Walgreens. Um, Crazy, crazy, crazy property amounts and like money, but yet they were so cheap. But every aspect of the that you can think of. But anyways, they were terrible. Yeah, they would make me do all those things: go sweep the parking lot, unlock phones, fix phones, sell them, activate them, then go inside, cook. Then while at it, also go to clean the bathrooms. And for me, I have probably, no one can say they have the highest pride, but I have really high pride in myself, and in, just me. But at the same time, couldn't be bigger than my family's needs at that time. So I was able to let that go. I left the first time. I threw the mop. I remember, in their face. Then I went home. Uh, then I faced reality at home. I saw what was going on, and mom's trying to get ready to go out there herself. But I have six siblings, so um, yeah, I remember those days. It was crazy, dude. So I ended up going back the next day with my tail between my legs, and I basically told him, "Hey, is the job still available? I need it. Yeah, my pride is no longer there. Don't worry about it." Because I wasn't gonna let moms go out there, besides having to take care of my younger siblings. So therefore, I went back, accepted it. Yeah, and then they showed me hell. So from that point, when I was at that time, I was around 16. Um, I said, "That's it. I'm gonna learn everything that goes within this business. Since they're very highly successful in it, I'm gonna go ahead and learn every in and out of that business," which was the cellular business at the time. Um, yeah, fast forwarding now, because I don't want to say the whole story, everything else, because this is just the beginning of that story that I said I was going to say to the whole family. Um, And then eventually down the line, I opened up a phone store. But then after that, I opened up a hookah bar of my own. It's very fun. I'll put some videos and pictures possibly on the shorts, maybe soon here. How I met like Kyrie Irving and the Cavs team. They all came one time. It was a crazy event, man. Crazy, crazy event. And then, you know, now at this point, I just have a cafe and a restaurant. I put in the shorts that, you know, that chicken, there's a chicken cone. It's like a chicken, we call it chicken hero in Greeks. And that was us cutting that chicken. It's so juicy and nice. Oh my God. Um, your mouth will water when you see it in the shorts. I even have, yeah, I think Frank Sinatra playing in the background, talking about like, you know, take me to the moon. Gotta love me some Frank Sinatra. I do love classics. Um, but yeah, that's what I have right now, without having to tell the whole story, Alan. I'll post some shorts too of me making some cappuccino and latte art. I think that was fun. For me, I love anything to learn anything that could be useful. And there's so much in this world, guys. This is why there's no space of for letdowns. Is because you could always forge a win even out of a loss. Trust me, take it from me. If you have that mindset for that, then you can always forge, like literally, like even if it's a loss, you can forge a win out of it. You just have to have that mindset and that belief, um, that you know life is not over after one hit, whether it's to the upside or to the downside. You know, because we all seen it. You know, people who win lotteries, guess what? They end up broke fairly very fast. And the people who get hit down, unless they accept the defeat and unless they accept to stay down, they're always the ones who's going to come back up and eventually even win. You know, I remember it was Rocky Balboa that said this, and they use it a lot in so many different references. It's like not about how many times you get hit in life. You know, it's about more about how many times you get hit and you still continue to get up and continue moving, pushing forward. So it, like I cannot add more to that, but the fact that hey, if you really solely at all times believe that no matter what happens, you're going to be good and you're going to come out on top. Believe it or not, at some point you're going to feel like life is talking to you. I swear to God, through its actions. Life has a voice that cannot be heard. It just can be felt, if that makes any sense. Um, and prior to these things that I was talking about, as far as with the options, whether in SBRT or AMC or all that stuff, I had a really, really, really tough road, guys. Like, if I share stories, I only shared so far the story of me as a kid when we moved to the US. And you know how crazy that story was, and eventful. They can make a movie out of that story, you know, and they just have to add some action thrillers here and there parts and, you know, bring some guy with some bazooka out of nowhere and then, you know, you get what I'm saying. Add the theatrics. But besides that, even after getting to the US, um, the mission got harder, like much, much tougher. I mean, to the point where back then, uh, I was wishing to go back to being a kid to that point because the pressure was so immense. Me, as I was going into college, you know, the pressure was so immense because, you know, I have so much that was on the back, like, you know, on my shoulders at the time. Um, and it seemed like there was no way out. And again, when I say the story of what found the way out for me and what got me to become the AB as you see today, because that was a complete transformation at that time. Back when I was about to go to college, left high school, I graduated a year earlier, by the way, guys, because I already had so many credits, and I was in the IB program, and they gave me like the first year off as far as into, you know, going. I was trying to go to pre-med in college, and they gave me the first year off, and as far as classes, because of me getting or doing similar work in the IB program in high school. I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with those kind of programs. In every state that stuff exists. Um, and I had crazy choices to make. And I kid you not, the choices that I've made is eventually what led me to this now as we speak. But it was crazy. I had to make a choice between many things, and I had to concisely make a choice that could, if I didn't pick every step of the way in those, I would have literally drifted far out to the right or to the left, um, and became as a nothing in life, completely nothing, not even filled with life, if I did not even precisely act on those decisions that I was making at the time. I mean, there was pretty huge, pretty huge. I'll tell you guys the story when majority of the family's around. I don't know when, but I'll tell you guys at a different time. All right, Alan is a contractor. Hopefully, I didn't put everybody to sleep with that. Uh, you know, jumbo bumbo. Yeah, right. I was saying the same thing back then, Alan. I wish, I wish I had someone who told me about this, because back then I literally, like, my biggest dreams was, obviously I knew that there was something big for me. One, I didn't want to work for nobody. So by 21, I was able to achieve that dream. And since then, I've never worked for somebody until now. And, and I hold that very strong of an accolade to myself. Like, being, um, you know, since 21 to now I'm 33. So you got a good, 12 years of independently for myself, feeding myself, working for myself, and living life according to me. I don't have to work for no company or no boss, go into the system, because I'm so against the system itself anyways, of how it gets you in. And by the time that you're out, you're in your 60s, and now you can possibly get retirement, and now what you're going to do with that? Like, you have a 10, 20 years left on earth, and the quality of it is what? So one of my biggest dreams was to enjoy life through all its phases that comes upon us, but also to enjoy it from a youth perspective as well, not just, when I'm at the end of my life. um, what does that look like? I'm trying to go party it down to South Beach, um, an Ocean Drive, pull up inside of Mangoes, and I'm like 68 years old. I'm not saying anything against that. Like, there's nothing wrong. Obviously, we're all on that path, guys. But I want to know what that feels like at that age, and I want to know what that feels like at this age, and even the prior age when I was 18, 19, 20, 21. I want to enjoy every aspect of life, or at least have the choice and the ability to enjoy life, at will, or at my own privilege or my choice, of choosing as I want, at all age, at all ages. Again, hopefully I didn't bore everybody else with that. Like, oh, what is this inspiration channel? All right. Hey, you know what, Alan, man? At the end of the day, it's better late than never, which is ultimately what I said to myself. The good thing, that everything has a good and a bad to it. Yes, we would have both loved to be hip to it back when we were 12 or 14, at least get pre-set on it back then, at a younger age. But guess what? The bright side to it is that you're getting hip to the stock market now, at a very full and healthy mind, of yourself. Like, you're grown. That crazy gambling or mindset of a child or a kid, like maybe 19, 18, 20, 21, you have your restrictions, you have your, you know, your beliefs, and what you have a set system already in place. So therefore, you're not going to go back and forth on it, versus where a 19, 18, or 20-year-old, 21-year-old perhaps even, and I'm not saying all, but of course many, are gonna be as foolish at that age, and try to YOLO things and go crazy, because again, they just have so much life still behind and so many things in life to learn in order to ground themselves. So at least on the bright side, you coming in very polished, you're just ready to adopt everything that you can from the market and absorb it and put it to use with a healthy thinking mindset and very well polished and grown. So see, you can always look at a bright side of something and you can always look at the bad side of things. I like to weigh out both. I always weigh out bad and good, but ultimately I will find a way for the good to overpower the bad. You have to have that mindset, dude. I'm telling you. But that crazy event that happened with me back at that crucial point in my life when I was 18, which I will say in the story, hopefully soon, guys, sometime to all the family. That changed my way of thinking in life forever to this that we're in now. Now, with that being said, brother, I'm gonna go ahead and peace out for everyone. Thank you so much for attending the chat, guys, for all the amazing comments, for liking the video. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment section. I will always do my best to get back with you guys. There was something I'm almost forgetting that I needed to do. I promised somebody something. I said I was gonna post something for them in the comment section. Okay, well, it'll come back to me. I'll if you have any questions, again, put it in the comment section. And expect a video coming out later on tonight. Oh yeah, Nile, I'm gonna cover that in a small segment of that on the video, just my thoughts on it. And I'm gonna talk about the aftermarket completely and what to expect out of, our plays. Again, what I broke down to you guys today as far as what happened in the early AM, and hopefully something crazy triggers tomorrow or sometime this week to undo all that wrongdoing that happened this morning. Again, your most wonderful and favorite, hopefully, AB Investments. Peace out.